if you're Anthony Joshua, you're not going to outbox Tyson Fury if you face him in 2021. Tyson is a better boxer. What you can do is hurt Tyson Fury and finish Tyson Fury. So if I'm Joshua, I'm using this as something of a dress rehearsal for a Tyson Fury fight, to go out there and try to finish him in the same way he's probably going to have to finish Fury if he hopes to win that fight. Welcome to Jabs on Dazn. Sergio, Roy Jones Jr. says that there could be a WBC belt on the line for his fight against Mike Tyson. How do you feel about a green belt being at stake?
Well, look, considering that I won the WBC belt, and if Roy Jones is going to be fighting for it again, I'm all thrilled for it. But not at 52 years old. This is ridiculous. How the hell are they getting sanctioned for this?
I'm shocked that a sanctioning body will try to get involved in this extravaganza. I'm shocked by it. Color me shocked. We start with one of the premier fights of the year, Vasyl Lomachenko taking on Teofimo Lopez for the undisputed 135-pound championship. Lomachenko will look to run his record to 15-1 and continue to be considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Ahead of Saturday's matchup, he admitted that beating Lopez won't be easy. Sergio, would this be Lomachenko's best win?
No, I think Nicholas Walters was the biggest win in Loma's career. I think Walters was undefeated at that time, 26-0, I believe. He was knocking everyone out from Nonito Donaire to Vic Darchinyan. That's going to be his biggest win because against Teofimo Lopez, he's 15-0, sure, but he reminds me of a Fernando Vargas coming up. He doesn't have the names that a Nicholas Walter has. He doesn't have the big names yet. His star is still ascending, so we're going to see exactly what we have with Teofimo Lopez. But if he can back up what he preaches, we got a star in our hand in Lopez.
Yeah, Walters was good. There was something going on with him at that stage of his career, though. He had a draw in his previous fight against Jason Sosa. I think the Gary Russell win was excellent because Russell at 126 pounds is very good, and Lomachenko just completely blanked him. I do think, though, there are plenty of reasons to believe that this would be his most significant win. I mean, Lopez, despite his relatively young age, is a title holder, is coming off the most significant win of his career against Richard Comey, and fights at a weight class that Lomachenko isn't all that comfortable with. Remember, this guy is a natural 126-pounder. He moved up to 130 pounds to win titles in that weight division. He moved up to 135 to do the same thing, but he is really stretching himself physically to get to 135 pounds. I think he's taking on a young lion just hitting the prime of his career with real lightweight power. So I think he's had some good wins in his career, from Walters to Russell and several others, but this to me would be the best.
Lomachenko, I'm going to back up Lomachenko here. He's going to clean out another division, and I'm going to tell you how. He's not a power puncher. We know that high-tech Lomachenko is a precision puncher. He beats you down with just constant pressure where he's punching up and down, but it's the body shots against these bigger fighters. He was able to knock down and knock out fighters like, while he knocked down Campbell or hurt him to the body, he knocked out Linares. He was able to beat down fighters to the body. So I think that's what's going to be the secret with Teofimo Lopez. Lopez, I mean, he's very good. Lopez is a very good fighter, but we don't know how he's going to react with the perpetual pressure that Lomachenko is going to put, not only physically, but mentally and with the footwork.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a reason he goes by Nomaschenko, right? Like, he makes guys quit because you're right. He puts a lot of pressure on them and beats them up to the body. I just think at 135 pounds, it's not a weight class he's physically great at. Lopez is probably going to be the biggest fighter he's faced in his career. Lopez is a big 135-pounder. So I think this, to me, would rank right up there at the top of Lomachenko's wins in his brief professional career. Moving on, it looks like the Anthony Joshua-Kubrat Pulev fight is one step closer to being official. Pulev posted on his Facebook page, "No turning back, no procrastination. Kubrat Pulev versus Anthony Joshua. The date is December 12th. And the place is London." Sergio, what do you want to see from Anthony Joshua in this fight?
I want to see the return of one of the biggest punchers in boxing, a man that knocked out 21 consecutive opponents, a man that, when we called the Andy Ruiz fight, said that he was the most composed and ferocious finishers. I'm still watching this. That's who I want to see return to the ring, that Joshua. And if we get to see that in a full arena, finally when we get fans, we got the return of the king, one of the kings.
Yeah, I want to see the Joshua of old, the guy that throws power punches, that takes some risks, that goes in there looking for knockouts. I understand against Andy Ruiz, there was an element of, I don't know what the phrase is, nervousness, anxiousness, being a little gun shy. He didn't want to go in there and engage with a guy that had knocked him out just 6 months prior. But Kubrat Pulev is a different type of fighter. Andy Ruiz has one of the best chins in all of boxing. Kubrat Pulev does not. He's certainly a worthy title challenger at this point, won 8 fights in a row since his loss to Vladimir Klitschko back in 2014. But he's 39 years old, and in that loss to Klitschko, he was just steamrolled. I mean, Vladimir just beat him down, knocked him down, beat him up. I think that AJ can have the same type of impact in this fight. So I don't want to see more of the technical AJ. I want to see AJ go out there and try to finish, because I think that could be a good warm-up, or that style would be a good test to prepare for Tyson Fury. I mean, if you're Anthony Joshua, you're not going to outbox Tyson Fury if you face him in 2021. Tyson is a better boxer. What you can do is hurt Tyson Fury and finish Tyson Fury. So if I'm Joshua, I'm using this as something of a dress rehearsal for a Tyson Fury fight, to go out there and try to finish him in the same way he's probably going to have to finish Fury if he hopes to win that fight.
We know that he's one of the biggest punchers in boxing, and now we know that he's smart enough to be able to box 12 rounds and maintain a strategy like he did against the rematch with Andy Ruiz. But that was just for that fight, Mannix. I don't think that's his style. I don't think that's his temperament. I think we're going to see that Joshua of old, especially against a 39-year-old.
Yeah, but we didn't, did you think back in the early 2000s that Vladimir Klitschko would become what he became under Emmanuel Stewart? I mean, before then, Vladimir was kind of a wrecking ball in the ring. I mean, he was going in there exchanging, not really using his size in the way he did later in his career. I mean, I wonder if we saw the beginning of something with Anthony Joshua, where he's going to fight differently for the rest of his career in the same way that Klitschko did.
Usually, as fighters mature and they age, they slow down and they become they actually become the opposite. They don't become boxers, they become punchers because they don't have the legs to do it anymore. Joshua just did that for the Andy Ruiz fight. I think we're going to see the puncher of old. He's not a boxer. He's a devastating combination puncher. That's what Joshua is.
And finally, earlier this week, Tyson Fury told The Athletic he has moved on from the Deontay Wilder fight, setting up a potential showdown with Anthony Joshua next year. While Fury's endgame is that showdown with AJ, this would leave Wilder without an opponent, or even a clear plan for what's next after suffering the first loss of his career. So Sergio, if Tyson Fury is off the table, what should Wilder do next?
He should take a tune-up fight. He should rebuild that confidence. So he needs to rebuild. He needs to refocus before he seeks revenge. And he can do that with an opponent like a Tom Schwartz or a Charles Martin, or a fighter that doesn't have enough to really hurt him, because we don't want to derail one of the biggest fights in boxing. So a tune-up fight, a confident builder, let the Bronze Bomber get that feeling of knocking guys out again. That's what he needs.
Yeah, I don't even care who he faces in his first fight back. I think Tom Schwartz is ridiculous, because, I mean, what did Tom Schwartz do to show you he could have any chance in a Deontay Wilder fight? But, whatever. His first fight back, he wants to get a quick knockout. That's fine. It's the second fight, and maybe even the third fight, because the Tyson Fury-Anthony Joshua deal is presumably going to be a 2-fight deal. That we're going to see those two guys fight twice, maybe both times, in 2021. That leaves Deontay Wilder a whole year to fill his calendar up, with no way to get a crack at the heavyweight title. So I would think he'd want to prepare as the year progresses for the opportunity to face either Fury in a third fight or AJ in a showdown. And you've got to look at some of the bigger fighters out there physically to do that. I'm talking about a guy like a Robert Helenius, who could be out there as an option. He just had a big win over Adam Kovnatsky. How about Otto Whalen, who just had a tough fight against Tyson Fury last year? I think those guys make sense for the second fight. First fight, whatever. You want to flatten somebody in one round, more power to you. But the second fight's when he's got to start getting his confidence back and start practicing and honing that technique to fight taller guys again.
Yeah, Otto Valen is a good one as well. Tom Schwartz. These are two guys that got beat by Tyson Fury. So if you can
stop comparing Tom Schwartz. Stop comparing Tom Schwartz to Otto Valen. Stop putting Tom Schwartz in that category.
They're both opponents that Tyson Fury beat. You don't want if you want to face an unknown or a tune-up fight to get comfortable, you want to fight someone that's actually been on the big stage. These two fighters, Valen and Schwartz, have been on the big stage with Tyson Fury. That's the reason I think they're excellent opponents and tune-up fights.
I think you could beat Tom Schwartz.
I can whoop your ass.
That's not a big accomplishment.
No, it is not.